Hey everyone, Duke here, and today we are making a vendor roll guide for the week of July 6th. This week has a large number of solid rolls for every character class, so let's get right into it. For Warlock, starting at Zavala, we have boots with 18 recovery, 16 discipline, and 13 intellect. None of those stats are what I'd consider super spiky, with stats above 20 or even 25, but the mix of all three of those important stats, all being solid, makes this a good armor piece. Next on the EDZ, Devrim is selling gloves with a resilience stat of 26. As I just mentioned, I consider anything that has 25 or above in a single stat to be a god roll for that stat, so look no further if you are looking for resilience on your Warlock. Devrim is also selling a chest piece with 22 recovery and 17 intellect. As a Warlock, I consider recovery and intellect to be my two personal most important stats in many of my builds, so getting really nice rolls into both stats makes this worth checking out. Finally, Failsafe is selling a helmet with 19 recovery and 20 intellect. Same idea as the last piece, anything that has both of these stats hovering in the 20 plus range is something that I find worth mentioning for you all to consider getting. For Hunters, Drifter has got you covered this week. I find every single armor piece he is selling to be at least worth mentioning. Starting from the gauntlets, with 14 mobility, 16 recovery, and 12 strength with a 58 total roll. Not quite the 60 plus I like to see when considering total stats as a positive, but a reasonably solid distribution of stats nonetheless. Next we have the chest piece with 22 recovery and 16 discipline. If you haven't noticed yet, I highly value recovery, and anything with 20 plus recovery and 15 plus in another solid stat like discipline is going to get a mention from me. Drifter's helmet isn't super special, but with 22 mobility and Hunter's class ability cooldown being tied to mobility, it's not terrible, and while you are here checking out the other armor rolls, you could definitely do worse. We saved Drifter's best for last with the legs having 16 mobility, 10 recovery, and 22 intellect. A really high amount of stats and what I would consider the three most important stats to go for in many Hunter builds. Lastly, Hunters have a perfect mobility god roll at Devrim this week with a maxed out 30 mobility. For those that don't know, a base 30 roll is the highest you can get in one stat on these armor pieces, so this is an absolute must-buy armor piece this week. For Titans, we start at Shax, who is selling gauntlets with a low total stat of only 51, but the distribution of 10 resilience, 12 recovery, and 23 intellect is quite nice and could be useful as a temporary piece for sure. Shax is also selling a chest piece with 22 resilience and 20 intellect. A really nice way to get more supers while also lowering the cooldown of their barricade class ability through resilience. Finally, Failsafe is also selling a chest piece, which basically swaps the resilience of the last piece with recovery, as this piece has 22 recovery and 19 intellect. So if you're like me and highly prioritize recovery on your builds, this is a really nice one to go for this week. If you made it to the end of this video, thank you so much for watching, and I hope these videos help you. Also, if you have a second, I got a few comments about it last video, but let me know below if you'd like me to make Ada videos similar to my Protective Light ones, so that you know when she is selling what I consider some of the most absolute best mods. And as always, have a wonderful day.